While they're coming up, I would like to say it is a pleasure to be before you. I'm going to introduce myself. I guess I'm moderating. My name is Jamari Peterson. I tell people, good way to remember that. Jamari goes on safari and is Ferrari. Jamari. It helps just a little bit. My background's, I'm on my second cryptocurrency company. The first one was the Quantum Resistant Ledger. We had an ICO in 2017, raised over $4 million, was a top 100 cryptocurrency, valued about $100 million before the downturn. I exited that company, started working on the Digital Reserve, which is a public benefit corporation, which is focused on creating a solution to payday lending and microfinance, high interest rates using micro lending and a borrower-focused interest rate. So what's really exciting about this topic to me is because there is a lot of challenges and opportunities that are faced for Black founders. Specifically, some of them, and they're going to introduce themselves, but some of those issues that we kind of might go over are some of the challenges has been institutional wealth, or the lack of it within our community, fragmented communities, the lack of institutions that we can rely on, and cultural friction. And we have opportunities such as the opportunity to create new systems, untapped markets, and new ideologies are ones that are not currently being displayed in the market, and the potential to create those new institutions. So now I want to give them the chance to introduce themselves and a little bit about them and what problem they're solving with their businesses.
Okay, how you doing? My name is Justin Redrick. I'm from Charlotte, North Carolina, Aggie Pride. The company I have is called Bitcoin Vegan Transformational Services. I give out consultations on Bitcoin, how to integrate to a business, just from the level of being decentralized in Bitcoin, making nodes, whether it's a Bitcoin node or a Lightning node to sell to the public. And I'm also a health and wellness weight loss coach, and I accept Bitcoin through my business. And thank you. And one of the problems that I solve is empowering those who feel like they're not powered to either be in this space or either be healthy. Just give an overall confidence to the people.
Excellent, thank you.
Awesome, that's great. How you doing this morning? My name is Ingrid LaFleur. I am from Detroit. I am co-founder of EOS Detroit. We are a block producer, and I am the Chief Community Officer. So EOS Detroit partners with grassroots organizations to find blockchain solutions in Detroit. If you know anything about Detroit, we're already creating these kinds of autonomous communities to solve for a lot of the issues that government won't. If you know Detroit is 85% Black, we have a very unique position in working in this wonderful city of ours. It is my responsibility to prepare Detroit for a decentralized application that we're developing that will support the mesh network that's going up in Detroit. So for those of you who don't know what a mesh network is, it's basically a way to provide free Wi-Fi to a certain area by putting satellites dishes on people's homes. 40% of Detroiters do not have access to internet. So, my work is really about teaching people about blockchain technology and cryptocurrency and the blockchain EOS, and with the EOS family right here. But more than anything, it's a way of really getting people to have a deeper understanding of the current system that we're in. I don't think that people understand why we even need the alternative. And we don't really understand how every time we use fiat currency, and every moment we're sanctioning the harm and the violence that comes to our bodies. So this is, for me, working in a majority of color city, this is more than just making sure that we are part of this wonderful movement, that we do have a deep understanding of the technology and hopefully will innovate in it, but this is a matter of survival. And so that is my work, and that's part of EOS Detroit's mission.
Thank you, Ingrid.
My name is Daniel Kimoto. Is this thing on? Now? Yeah, it works. My name is Daniel Kimoto. I'm from EOS Nairobi. also part of the extended EOS family. We are also a blog producer based in Africa. Really strong community of young people that is really excited and really passionate about changing the story of Africa and showing Africa itself and the rest of the world that it can also participate in global ideas and in new technologies. And so I'm part of this small team, and our mission is to build tools of wealth creation so that we can allow many people to actually unlock the value that they have within them. One of the first things we did was to educate ourselves about Africa itself, but it was not really extensive education, and we wanted to go deeper. And by just understanding a little bit about Africa, we could understand the potential that Africa has, and we could understand the biggest resource that Africa has, which is its people. And its people are young. For instance, in my country, Kenya, the median age is 19. Our neighbors in Uganda, median age is 17. The next neighbors, Tanzania, should be around 16. Ethiopia, they're about 16, 19, they're about. So that's spread across Africa. And these young people have some really, really brilliant minds. And all these young people can do some amazing things, and they can plug into what the world is doing. And Africa won't show up late anymore to these new technologies. Africa won't show up late and without ladies involved in the process, because we also have a lot of ladies in the team. And part of what we are doing is to, because we find ourselves in a position where we are doing a lot of things that are inspiring others and showing others that they too can also get stuff done. So we have taken it upon ourselves to make it our job to show others that it's also possible for them to participate in what the world is doing. And right now we are supporting a node on EOS. EOS is one of these new blockchains, and we're doing it from Africa. Our team is fully resident in Africa. Our nodes are fully resident in Africa, and we'll keep it that way so that more Africans can know it is possible from within Africa, and the rest of the world can also see that Africa has the potential to do amazing things.
Excellent, excellent. All right, so I want to go to the quick ask portion. We don't often get to that for our panelists, but given the fact it's about empowering our founders and entrepreneurs, what do you need from our community to achieve your vision, or what are the things that you are looking for to actually help you achieve the vision that you have?
Well, one of the things I would need from the community would be more so of wanting to be involved in something that is already working. Within the Bitcoin space, you still have a lot of room for new people to come in to take advantage of the things that are going on. Within the Bitcoin community itself, within last year, they had what we call like a bit of a holdup within the network. It's because a lot of people in the network was not running their own nodes. And now that this is it was shown to be a problem, it opens up new solutions for how it can keep going for the number one coin to actually keep being the better and better the coin. Another thing that can happen into the community as well is, to notice, like, yes, it is the first or has been around a while, but it is still very useful to me. Know that you're not late to any party, or that you also very much can contribute. You can find your own way to create wealth and to store that wealth by yourself within Bitcoin.
Well, I think that I'm new. I'm just going to admit this. I am 2 months into working with this wonderful startup, and this is my first time as a co-founder of a startup. In my situation, what is really interesting is I have an art background. So oftentimes this tech conversation sits with people who are within a tech space. And I think make sure that more people from different backgrounds have an understanding of why it's important to them as well. So I work really hard to make sure that creatives have an understanding of why blockchain technology is important to their work, to protecting their work. And so having that kind of support system to allow for that kind of non-traditional paths to come to this point, I think is really important, and that is a good way to support a diversity of founders within this space. I think we need, especially when it comes to the blockchain space, we need a diversity of backgrounds to be at the table. I'm bringing social justice activists to the table because they have a different kind of understanding and perspective, and they can give a level of support and that depth of support that we're seeking within our communities in order for widespread adoption to even happen. They've been organizing already, and they already understand the issues. So that is definitely, for me, this is a co-creative process, and I work with my community leaders to discuss the importance of blockchain technology, why it's important for their own communities, and then moving from there about how to enter and properly teach within all these different subcultures.
Well, so the question was, what do we need as founders in order, from the community, in order for us to achieve the visions that we have?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like this about empowerment.
Yeah. So I think I'll want to answer this question in an inverse format, because the approach that I take, which is my work at EOS Nairobi, is what does the community need from me in order for them to achieve what they have as visions? Because each person within our community has something they want to achieve. Now, a lot of these people have things that they need so that they can achieve what they have intended to achieve, which is what we'd call their visions, right? So by finding out what these people need and helping them get it, in a sense, allows even us who are helping them to benefit from the whole growth. A good example can be placed by John Karanja and Chris. So at the time when our community was starting in Nairobi, we, of course, had several disadvantages, including a shortfall of capital, a serious shortfall of capital. And what we needed at the start was an environment that would help us to kickstart everything and to grow this community. And John and Chris provided us with the initial space to have our initial meetings. The first one with a gentleman called Ian Grigg, who's very involved in the EOS space, both within the main company called Block One and within the general community. And Chris and John gave us the opportunity to host Ian Grigg at their offices at BitHub Africa. They later on gave us a second space for us to host a community event at their space as well, because at this time we could not afford to rent out spaces. We were only 3, and we did not have a lot of cash for all these activities. Mm-hmm. So they looked at what we needed in order for us to achieve our visions, and that built this community to be big, and it helped us achieve what we have achieved. Until now, we are here at a conference in the US because of what they helped us do.
And who was this that helped you again?
Chris and John Karanja.
All right, so we know that Bitcoin and the blockchain perspective that we have all initiated from the cyberpunk movement, which was basically primarily libertarian movement to be able to privatize and to secure themselves and their individuality. They want to be able to retain access to their funds without necessarily someone being able to delve into what they had. That's where Bitcoin originated, within that movement. Now, given that was the initial point, and we are now moving to a space where blockchain and Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies are being used for a variety of different purposes. But they're still the primary leaders from that period are still the major voices. Have you seen or had an issue with imposter syndrome? Imposter syndrome being the issue of feeling out of place, or that your perspective or that your presence, it does not fit in with everybody else that's around you, and if so, how have you been dealing with that, and what can be done to deal with that further, and if not, why do you think you haven't had that particular issue in this space?
In the very beginning, I possibly felt like I might be out of place, because seeing I don't have a tech background, and to be honest with you, I only have 2 years of college, so everything from the day Bitcoin Zay over there introduced me into what Bitcoin was, I always knew I was intelligent enough to learn. I had an ability to learn, an ability to communicate. So from then on, I just said, it's just believe that I can do it and to learn more and more and more. So at the very first time, I did believe like I might not be technically advanced as if everyone else is, but I ran into some good brothers through Facebook. They go by the Moabit Association, and what they do there is they help anybody, but mainly blacks, be able to be a voice in the space the correct way. They helped me to be able to even communicate to the masses of people, whether that be black or white, about what Bitcoin is. And then from further on, they also had a class, like we would meet up in a Google Hangout atmosphere and teach about how to be technically sound within Bitcoin. So at first I did have a bit of a feeling like I might be out of place. A lot of people I went to school with they didn't want to take it serious because they knew that, I didn't even finish college. I didn't even have a technical background. But the longer I stayed in, I realized that some of the people who with IT degrees who were in, engineers in the space, they didn't pay any attention, or they didn't even really know how to go about making a node, go about building a program on the Bitcoin blockchain. So it showed me great confidence that it's still a lot more room for people to learn anything, and that just because you might have a position on one end, this is a whole total different atmosphere, and it's a whole different world that you can still learn on. So I hope that answers your question.
And what was that organization again that helps you out?
The Moabit Association, and they also have their own app in the Google Play Store called the Murex Enhanced Wallet, if you wish to download it. But it's called the Moabit Association.
All right, so if you're trying to empower yourself, make sure you check that out.
So even though Detroit is 85% black, anytime you go to a blockchain technology cryptocurrency event, prior to the events I started creating, there would be all white men. Mm-hmm. And I know many of the women understand. We're often one of few, and definitely I would hardly ever see another woman of color in the room. All that to say that how I came to this space, I ran for mayor of Detroit last year, and I proposed that Detroit create its own cryptocurrency and universal basic income from that cryptocurrency. And that brought a lot of attention from a lot of different communities, the universal basic income community and the crypto world. And I had this amazing white man who decided to sit down with me and actually talk about the philosophy that's behind why Bitcoin was created. And that was very interesting. And then he told me about the ethics and values that are attached to EOS, the new blockchain that launched on June 10th this year. And that is when, regardless of what the room looked like, I felt comfortable being in that space, because I had the deeper understanding that a lot of people don't really discuss what these radical white boys are doing. Many of them are anarchists, radical to a point that some of my co-founders are white men, and I have to tell them to not be so radical in public. So that's been very helpful. I've never worked with white people before in my life, especially on this level. So I'm very happy that I'm with these kind of radical, wild anarchists. I just wanted to tell you a little bit about EOS. I know a lot of people might not know about it, just to quickly so you understand what we're talking about. The founder, Dan Larimer, his vision was to create a nonviolent economy and a nonviolent government. He wants to create a universal basic income. So those ethics and values are embedded in how EOS operates. As block producers, a percentage of the money that we make has to go to humanitarian efforts. As a token holder, you sign a constitution in order to acquire tokens. And the first line of the constitution is about how you cannot use the tokens to create harm. So all of these things for me matter when introducing blockchain technology to black bodies and those of color, because we need those kinds of ethics and values attached to it. I do not believe that we're in competition, the blockchains are in competition. I think there's many different uses for them, and it really depends. But EOS being the first self-governed blockchain is a unique experience and experiment that I think really kind of speaks to a lot of our own ethics and values. And I just really believe it's the beginning of a conversation. It's just a good starting point to show, like, hey, this is even possible. So if you want to know more, we can talk about it later.
Thank you. So, imposter syndrome, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So yes, that is. It can be a reality if you think about it, if you focus on it. So, one of the things we did back in our team is to make sure that there's different people who are really good at different things, right? So that there's someone who's really good at the engineering stuff, and when you come to me, I'll directly to them. So I'll shift you over to have your questions answered by them. So if you have something else you need dealt with, you come to me. And I make sure that I'm really good at what I do, and I focus on that. And I'm the go-to guy for that one thing or two things. And there's other people who are go-to guys for the other things. That way, there's no imposter syndrome that you can feel, because if someone asks me a really technical question, I can just push them over to one of our senior engineers, and I'll be free. I'll be comfortable. And that has been the position that we took. Another big advantage that played to us when we were starting was, one, we are young, and two, we are from Africa. So when we got into those groups asking questions, looking at them now, because I went back to those chats and I was looking at them, and the questions were really silly. Because in order to run a node on EOS, you need some really serious equipment. And this equipment would most likely be hosted at a data center. So at the time of starting, I didn't know that. And I was asking the people in the global community if I could run it on a Mac Mini, like the tiny laptop, because someone made a joke and I took it seriously. And I went and asked about how I could get Mac Minis shipped on Amazon to Africa, and everyone was laughing. But they were so nice, and they were like, okay, they're from Africa and they're young, so it's fine. So I was told, okay, make sure you guys have this and this server, put it in this type of data center, make sure it's like this, there's this type of bandwidth, then you guys are good to go. Then we're very grateful for that. So we never shy away from asking questions, even if it makes us look silly. But sometimes it can be hard to ask some of those questions. But if you take it, as Ingrid is saying, as an experiment, it becomes very easy on you, and you let go of all this burden of how you would look in front of people. Yeah. And on top of that, it's also a really new technology. So even if you get in now, it's really at the beginning. So any question you ask is fine and is within the threshold of we are all starting. So someone will definitely guide you, and it won't take that long to get you to like really. I usually say in Africa, there's a lot of people want to be chairman of something. So I tell people, blockchain is really new. When you get in now, you can be chairman of something after 2 or 3 months. Yeah.
Before we go to our audience questions, I want to ask, how are you? Oh, I could have been answering these questions myself. I forgot. How are you currently? How's your organization currently funded? Like, how are you guys operating? How are you guys working right now?
Well, currently, I just work. That's basically because I'm not having a what you call like a technical program of that level. I just basically market what I do, come to events like these. At times, I realized that the best thing I could do was hone the skill, and always refine the skill of what I learned. And then when the time comes that people are, in need of what I provide, then I'll be ready at a moment's notice. As far as like having someone or anyone fund what I do necessarily, I'm not on that level as of yet. So I just started out the phase that I'm in and realized, like, you know, you're going to start from the ground up, then you might as well have ground up type of roots embedded in what you're doing. So as long this is to anyone in the crowd, I do have a brother here that was in the class with me, Ryan in the background, if you raise your hand. So he's a real good technical guy himself. Like, he helped me with a lot of stuff, but most of what I do now is, you know, I still work for what I regularly do, but I just refine my skills on all fronts. And then once someone is ready, or once the people is ready to the masses, then I'll be there as someone that could be someone you call on. So that's basically how I fund what I do for now.
We have investors, and then we also support sister chains as well.
Are those investors VC, black community investors, white community investors, EOS one, black one? Where are you coming from? Who funding you?
Okay. They are European investors.
All right.
And yeah.
All right. No, and the only reason I ask is because as we're talking about empowering independent, strong black founders, I'm also thinking about, like, are we actively participating? I'm trying to let them see common threads, lay out kind of who's funding us, like where we coming from. Are we grinding by ourselves? Where that money coming from? So just trying to help people think these things through so we can realize why we need to come together, start building our institutions, leverage this technology to create so as we can be the funders of these organizations. All right, go ahead.
Yes.
Oh, it's my turn? Okay. So currently, EOS Nairobi is incentivized by the EOS network and ecosystem to maintain a node and to support the network. So there's some bit of resources we get from that side. Also, with the knowledge that we've built over time, back to my data center story, so we didn't know anything about data centers and anything about servers and that type of complex stuff. So we managed to get enough knowledge to start our own tiny data center that supports small African teams and communities to build stuff and to deploy them there. So hopefully we'll keep on increasing the knowledge and information we have so that we can make the service better for more and more people and grow that into a bigger source of revenue for our community and team.
Excellent, excellent.
I wanted to explain something with EOS. It's a little different. You don't mine. So as a block producer, that means that token holders are voting for companies to produce the blocks. And there's 21, and then there's 100 on standby. So it's just a little different, and so that's how we get paid, by producing the blocks, and the token holders stake their money for us to do that job.
I do want to answer the question. You asked for who's funding. Well, some Bitcoin I bought back in the days was helping me fund my business personally. So there you go.
All right. Yeah, that's what I thought your answer would have been. But I was like, okay, well, I'll let him say what he wants to say.
Nah, I got you.
And I'm going to quickly answer the questions. So I asked, what do you need from our community to achieve your vision? I really want people to butcher my white paper for the digital reserve. I think the adversarial component of things makes it necessary for people to really look at the work and determine what works, what doesn't, so as we can build it better. We're still developing our network, so I really want people to look at it, read it, be part of the community, and determine if it's viable or not, and why. If it is, build together. If not, identify why. Other question is, what are you? No, I didn't ask that question. Where you funded currently? I had one friend that I invested a little bit of money, and the majority of it's bootstrapping. Where do you look for it? Nope, I didn't ask that. And then, I'm sorry, I wrote down my question earlier. And then I think I asked, how do I keep myself positive? Challenges? All right, good. I think I answered the questions that I asked. So, questions from the audience. Woo, hands, beautiful. All right.
Good morning. My name is John Chu. I'm originally from Oakland, California, and I've been living in Haiti since the 80s. And I have to say this in order to ask my question. I went to Haiti with my MS-DOS computer. That's how outdated I am, telling my age. I don't come to America much, so I'm not caught up on technology a lot. And in Haiti, technology just came there. maybe a few years ago, the internet and smartphones just came to Haiti. We were always using the little Motorola phones. So I would like to know how you guys could teach an OG like me in an undeveloped third world country like Haiti how to get into this technology. How could I take this back to Haiti? I'm trying to bring Haitians up into the modern world, but I need to learn this myself in order to teach them. I work predominantly a lot in construction and agriculture, but we're trying to get more tech savvy and teach the Haitians how to do this. So how do we start? It's below grassroots to get there. So how do I do that? And I came here specifically for this. I haven't been to America in 12 years.
Yes.
So I'm outdated.
Okay.
So how do I get started and get moving? Because I'm hungry.
Quick clarification
I'd like to know.
about the situation. Wait, can we get a quick situation? So is it primary mobile access in Haiti, or how do they connect it to the internet, if any?
Yes, there is now. Last year, we have mobile phones. I actually have a smartphone now.
Okay.
And the majority of Haitians have smartphones now. And the internet is there, and it's throughout the countryside as well.
Yeah.
So we have access. So now I'm trying to work with young people how to get involved with this.
First thing you can do is download a Bitcoin wallet. Like, you can do that right now on your phone. Within Haiti, I know y'all had a real bad hurricane about a few years ago, right? Or last year. And so to really first get into the spaces, the level you guys are on is to accept Bitcoin or cryptocurrency for any goods or services you may have. And then from there, since you do have electricity, correct? You can buy Raspberry Pis or anything on that level to get real in depth into the Bitcoin space. As far as EOS, I'm not quite sure, but it is just about that simple. And you can contact me later about any other ways you would want to get Haiti jump started into the crypto space.
And if I could, I'm Haitian American, and I'm from Haiti, and I do want to add that, telecommunications is one of the areas where we have made a lot of inroads. The Haitian government just launched the first Haiti tech incubator earlier this year. They just have one of the biggest telecommunications companies in Haiti for about a decade now. And so, and actually the local entrepreneurs, there's quite a few of them who actually have blockchain startups as well.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of opportunity, but I think Haiti is much further along than we have been in terms of the tech space. We made a lot of great inroads.
Yeah. And sadly, I was told that our time is up. I'll definitely make sure that we connect with you afterwards, because I have some things off the top of my head I'll give you. I hope you guys enjoyed this, found this informative, and yes, thank you. We appreciate your time. Beautiful people.